Hey, what's going on, everybody? Manny back at it again, man. Welcome to DFS Zone. I'm going to go over today's four-gamer in the association, but before I get started, like always, I appreciate, man, just drop a like on the video. It helps my channel out a lot. If you're new here, have not seen any of my videos before, hey, thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure before you go, you subscribe down below. It's a simple thing. It is free information. Make sure that you click on that subscribe button, and also don't forget to put on your post notifications. This way you don't miss out on any of my videos. I upload NBA videos 6 days a week right now. 6 days a week. When the NFL season concludes, I don't do videos on Sundays for NFL purposes because I play DFS NFL on Sundays, and that takes quite a bit of my time, and I'm so into the games. But as soon as the NFL season concludes, there'll be 7 videos a week, 7 videos a week and much more again. Okay. So make sure you subscribe down below, man. All right. Before we also get started on this channel, I do a weekly giveaway where I give out a player pool, the same player pool that I put together throughout the course of the day, all the way to about a half hour before lock. I share that with you guys, so one lucky winner will be able to get access to that player pool. If you wish to, I also give you another option. You don't want the player pool. You want to do your own research, but you don't want to spend as much time as you normally do. I have put together a quick search sheet, which I call the quick search sheet. And basically that has all the information, or more than enough information that I look at on a regular basis, all on one sheet, spreadsheet format for both the player pool as well as the quick search sheet. And it just saves you a ton of time. You got DVP there, minutes, salary, opponent, what opponents have done against the opposition. You got field goal attempts. You got projected points for the day, and usage, minutes, shots per game, 3-point shots per game. You got a number of information that I normally look at on a regular basis, and on top of that, there'll be even more information that I'm going to be applying to that spreadsheet as we progress into the season. So all that is going to be available to one person for 1 week, the longest is a 2-game slate or better. So if you want to be in on that giveaway, the only thing you need to do is make sure you like the video, comment down below anything regarding the video, and at the same time, or regarding the slate, and at the same time, you of course have to be a subscriber to the channel. I will check on that, and then the winner will be announced on Mondays. Other than that, if you wanted to get access to all those different the player pool or the GPP cash value lines, as well as the quick search sheet, I have that all available at patreon.com/DFS Zone. The link is in the description of this video down below. Go check out the tiers. I'm not asking for a whole lot of money. It's very, very cheap. A lot of stuff for 30 days. Not bad at all. Like I said, everything is in spreadsheet format, color coded. You're going to have the filterized system where you could be able to just filter through the players and through certain statistics. It's really a lot easier for you guys. Trust me. The same player pool, like I said, that I designed for myself, I'm basically doing all that work, and now I'm sharing it with you guys. So that's all available there. At the same time, all access for everything. You can be able to get all 3 things on top of also the private Discord chat. So check it out, guys. It'll help me out there as well for the time that I do put into this. I put over 6-7 hours a day, pretty much literally, into DFS and to the Patreon page. Okay. All right. That's all out of the way. Let's get to this actual slate. First things first, man, the slate is ugly. Okay, first things first, the slate is pretty ugly. You got 3 games that are right now have huge spreads. The Vegas headlines have a lot of these games possibly being blowouts, and I agree they're going to be some. They're going to be a little ugly unless some players come up, but there's going to be some value too. There are some injuries, so we're going to go along the way. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I see at the moment, at least early on now, about 6 or so hours before the games begin. All right, so we're going to go right over to point guard. At point guard, you got Westbrook at the top, Simmons at the top, Malcolm Brogdon. I think all guys are viable plays, a sprinkle, a little bit of each. Another thing very important I always try to share with you, and I don't want to forget, it's a 4-game slate. Ladies and gentlemen, whoever is watching is playing, play light today on a 4-gamer. Same thing for tomorrow. Sundays are usually a little light. A lot of people playing football, DFS football. But these games with the blowout potential, I probably will leave me personally, because I play multiple lineups. I'm a tournament player, like I've stressed before. I use different strategies. I use strategies where I may go with some stars and scrubs and maybe some balanced lineups if it's possible, depending right now, more or less. You could go balanced today, and I could see where you could pay up for some guys and get some value in some other areas. You can do that as well. But you also have to look at those players that are going to probably be in for injuries, and also as far as players that may come off the bench on a regular basis and actually get several minutes more than they normally get because of the blowout potential. So if some games get a little out of hand, you have to target some of those players as well. So make sure you keep that in mind. Today is a tournament day, and as ugly as this slate looks, I'd be honest with you. I mean, stick to just tournaments today. If you want to play some cash, it's going to be a little tough today. And if you are, I would say just play a couple. If you play cash, I'd rather you play a 10-player or 20-player cash, type of thing, tournament, a little more, something small like that where there's only 10 or 15, 20 players as opposed to one of the large slates. All right. Okay, let's get to it. So we're going to get back to Russell. I do like, plain and simple, I do like Ben Simmons. Today there is no Embiid. You have to take advantage of some of the Philly players, but I don't suggest taking more than 2 of the Philly players because this is a game that can get a little out of hand. They're playing in Philly. Cleveland is a little banged up as well. They the possibility of no Kevin Love, and that hurts their offense obviously considerably. And then, of course, there's, Tristan Thompson hasn't been 100%. He's going to play, but, he has been a little bit ill. So Simmons, maybe a Horford obviously makes sense today. Either Tobias Harris with Horford. They both usually get the top usage. Looking at it prior to getting on video, those two guys usually get a 24 to 25% usage. As far as with no Embiid on the court, Simmons actually gets the least amount, but I do still like Simmons in the matchup against Cleveland. So Simmons is in play at 9,300. And again, like I said, no Embiid. I mean, he puts up good numbers all the way across the board. He's a double-double guy, can get you a triple-double. He's playing really solid as of late, over 40 fantasy points over the last 3 games straight, and that's above his fantasy point total. So we know that he's trending upward at least as far as fantasy point totals. The games have been really, really good for him. 33-plus minutes a game. He's shooting 54% from the floor, 33% from 3. And, again, all the numbers point to him having a solid game here because the usage rate gets a little bit more of a bump. And not only that, he's just been shooting and playing so much better over the course of the last 3 games. So I do like him a whole lot here. I think is someone you got to consider, either one of the Philadelphia guys. You can even go with one Philly guy today. I'm more than likely going to do, at least a team stack of at least 2 Philly guys in some of my lineups, not completely in all my lineups. But I think he's one of the ones you got to consider. Like I said, he has played 2 games against Cleveland this year, and he shot 70% on both of those games combined as far as on average, putting up 37 fantasy points per game. He's going up against Cleveland. Cleveland is 11th in defending point guards, and they have been allowing 32.6 fantasy points per game over the last 6 games. I always gauge my fantasy point totals not throughout the entire year, but I also gauge it also not only from that, but I also bring it down to either 4, 5, or 6 games depending on the actual slate. So today I base these fantasy point totals versus the opposition by 6 games. All right, so I think he's firmly in play, and he's obviously in play for me as well as the point guard on DK. Now, granted, I don't play a whole lot on DK. Where is he? And he's at the top. Simmons. He's 8,200 on DK. You need about 41 on DK, which is not too bad. A little bit tougher here on Fanduel at 9,300, needing about 46, 47. Other options you have here, obviously, like I said, Westbrook will be someone in play. Brogdon in play against New York. New York has done well against point guards this year. They're coming in here actually second fewest in the last 6 games. Opposition has only been averaging about 19 fantasy points per game. But again, like I always said before, you always have to gauge who they have played as well. So they haven't played a whole lot of high usage point guards, but nonetheless, it could be a tough matchup for Malcolm Brogdon here today. But again, this is for fantasy point totals. As you can see, they're considered 30th as far as defending point guards. We come down here. Ricky Rubio to 7,600 definitely is in consideration. This is the highest implied total game of the night. But then again, Houston is favored by like 10.5. So a little bit of a dangerous move. Don't play a whole lot of Houston. And I will say don't play. If you're going to play Houston, play the guys that are more than likely going to play more blowout minutes, if that is the case. And here for Phoenix, Ricky Rubio has to play well for Phoenix to stay in this game. Between him, Booker, and Oubre, which are their top 3 high-usage players, they definitely going to have to perform. So Ricky Rubio will be someone you definitely should consider here today in this matchup. Got to listen to the news about Connolly. If Connolly is out, obviously that's a huge bump for Donovan Mitchell, and Donovan Mitchell definitely is in play for me today. And then, of course, that opens the doors for some of the other guys like DeAnthony Melton, Tyus Jones, and so on and so forth. And that brings me to DeAnthony Melton, who's been pretty solid the last few games. He's been averaging 1.1, 1.2 fantasy points per minute over the last 2 or 3 games that he has played. So he is definitely getting his share of time on the floor as far as usage, and he's getting his ample share of shots. 29 plus in 3 straight games, so DeAnthony Melton is definitely someone that is viable in play. Tyus Jones the same. He's 4,400. You can't consider them. It's tough to decide on anything with the Knicks because now obviously Fizdale has been fired, which I am a New York Knicks fan, sadly to say. But we'll see what Mike Miller does with this young group moving forward. So it's very difficult to decide if Peyton is going to get more time than Akina or Dennis Smith. So we'll have to leave those guys alone. Let's go over the shooting guard. A shooting guard at the top, we got James Harden, then we got Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, I'm going to be on Donovan Mitchell. I was been on him the last couple of times he has played. He has been trending a little bit downward, hasn't played really well simply because the shots haven't been going down. He's still getting more than enough usage, more than enough minutes, and of course more than enough shots. He is an integral part of the offense for Utah, and obviously if Utah is going to have any success, Donovan Mitchell has to have success as well. So he's in play at 8,300. I'd rather play him than some Harden, just simply. And now we know Harden is in play any given day. He is a guy that you can pencil in any one of your lineups any single day for cash or for tournament play, no problem. But this is a game that right now is projected to be the highest scoring game, so you want to have some exposure to it, and I will. I'll probably sprinkle a little bit of Harden in one of those little quarter GPPs. I don't think I'll make him a top core in a single entry or anything, or in the big 100K event. So for me, James Harden is someone you can consider. I'd rather pay Donovan Mitchell, especially if Conley is out. And I have a good feeling that Conley is going to be out again today. Donovan Mitchell moves over to the point, and he loves playing at the point. Plus, he's playing at home. Granted, the last game out at home, they didn't look too good against LA, but they were playing the Lakers, and the Lakers have been just been boiling their butts off and beating up on some teams, really playing really, really well. And their defense is pretty tough. So it was tough on Donovan Mitchell, especially if he's not shooting well. But I think this is a get-right back game for him today. So Donovan Mitchell in play. Also, now, so Donovan Mitchell in play for me. I'm going to add him on there, and I'm also going to talk about him at 8,300. You need 41.42. He is 7,600 on DK. Need about 36 to me value there. Like I said, he's trended a little bit downward. He had a 29 and 26 in 2 out of the last 3 games, but he has been able to stay close to his average at 38, 39 here, 38, and of course he has some 40s here. So he's capable of getting it done. He has played Memphis before. He put up a 38 spot in 37 minutes just not so long ago on November the 29th. 20 points, 5-3, and 3 steals. Granted, he does a little bit of everything. He can score. If his shots are going down, he's going to score a ton. He can get you some rebounds and assists. And, of course, as you can see, he is a pretty decent defender. Can get you some steals in bunches on good nights. His usage rate is still at 31%, shooting 47% from the floor. This is at home. His home and away splits, excellent. Shooting a bit better at home than he is on the road, 47%. Field goal percentage, 37% from 3. He is a good free throw shooter. Hasn't, shot well in the last 3 games, like I mentioned. Usage rate at 31%, taking still 21 shots per game and 6 or 7 threes. Going up against Memphis, in 2 games against Memphis, he has shot the ball. He hasn't shot the ball pretty well. He hasn't shot the ball well against Memphis in 2 games, only shooting 37%, which is a little disappointing. But again, get right game today. They have lost 3 in a row. They need a win. They got a favorable matchup where they should be able to pull out a win. So we'll see what happens here. 27% from 3 over the course of those last few games. The beauty of it is also he brings you rebounds, assists, and he can get you some steals. He is averaging 2.5 steals in that 2 games versus Memphis. He did put up 54 in the first game and 38 in the second game against Memphis, averaging 45 fantasy points, which is above his average and will be above where his value price is at here, and will be a good price, good value for him on DK. So he's in play. Memphis is coming in here. They're 28th in defending shooting guards, allowing 31.2 fantasy points per game. They did give up 39 to Levine and 32 to Lamb over the course of 2 games over the course of the last 3. So Mitchell in play, and also in play for me on DK. Then we come over Other options here, like I said, you can go Harden. You could go Booker here as well. Not a whole lot of options at shooting guard. R.J. Barrett, 5,700 is considered pretty cheap for him. He has played as much as 30 minutes or better per game, and he's capable of getting a near a fantasy point per minute. So this may be a nice game for R.J. Barrett here against Indianapolis. Only needing 26, 27 to meet value. McLemore's been playing well for Houston, 45 for him there, 4,500. Definitely someone you can consider. And Grayson Allen obviously is in play with, the potential of Connolly being out. And, of course, Dylan Brooks is a game-time decision as well. So Grayson Allen, as well as DeAnthony Melton, will get a huge bump here if they're able to play. That would be a nice value play today. So Grayson Allen is someone you definitely got to consider here as well today. At small forward at the top, you got Tobias Harris. Obviously, the Philly guys all the way across the board are all in play. They all get a bump. Tobias as well as Horford. Like I said prior to, they get the biggest bumps when Embiid is out, because they're going to get opportunities to get more rebounds and more scoring up in the paint. So Harris in play at 8,100. I do like Kelly Oubre at 7,300. They need somebody from Phoenix to try to keep this game close with Houston. And offensively, Kelly Oubre is kind of like the number 2 guy on this team as far as shots, usage, and, of course, minutes on the floor. So I've been on him a few times over the last few weeks. I gave you guys him the last time he played, and he put up a 53 or something like that, 54, 51 fantasy points in 47 minutes against New Orleans, 14, 5, 15, and 1, 4, and 3. Obviously, he brings a number of things to the table. He can do some rebounding. Obviously, he can bring blocks and steals, so defensively he's pretty good, and he's not a bad three-point shooter, and that's where this can be interesting here, because Houston definitely struggles in defending three-point shooting teams. Granted, both teams take tons of threes a game. Houston, the highest in all of the NBA. I think 46 or 47 three-point shots a game. So I think Phoenix is in that 36 range, about 10 less, but that's quite a bit for a team. So this is an area where he could possibly blossom at. He has 50-point upsides. You can see he's averaging 32 fantasy points, and 3 out of his last 4 games, he's been at 35 or better. So a slight trend upward as far as fantasy point totals. The minutes are there. He's getting more than enough minutes. He's playing 35-plus minutes a game, shooting 45% from the floor, 34% from 3, usage rate at 23%, 16 to 17 shots a game, and 5 or 6 threes. Okay, so like I said, Houston has been allowing 13-plus threes per game converted by opponents. So that is very big. That's where Phoenix is going to have to do well. When they take those threes, they're going to have to get hot, and they're going to have to bury them. If they bury them at 40, 45%, they have a shot to keep this game relatively close, with the pace-up game that this is going to be with Houston. Houston being one of the top teams as far as pace is concerned. So that is an option. So Houston coming in here. Houston has been, they've ranked 9th in defending small forwards, and they've been allowing 32.2 fantasy points per game. So again, Kelly Oubre for me is in play. Other options you may have going into today, you got Tobias Harris, like I mentioned at the top. You can consider him. Marcus Morris, 6,500. I mean, he's been one of the top offensive guys for New York. They might display him still more because he is someone they could possibly put up for trade bait. T.J. Warren at 5,400 is considered a little cheap. At 5,400 could be an option here against New York. I know Cedi Osman had an awesome game the other day. Don't know if he's going to come back and hit another 40-plus game again. He is not known for that. But, if you wanted to find some sort of offense with the possibility of no Kevin Love, obviously Cedi Osman comes into play. Solomon Hill could be an option here as well. Solomon Hill playing 25-plus minutes over the last few games. No Clark, obviously, for Memphis. That definitely helps. And if Dylan Brooks is out as well, I mean, they're going to need some more bodies to play. So he may be an option. Then down here for Phoenix, Bridges as well as Johnson. Cameron Johnson is a little appealing here. He's coming off the bench, is a three-point shooter as well, 4,100. He's been playing pretty well for them, playing over 20 minutes a game. And this is a game where he may get even more minutes, especially if, for whatever reason, he's been getting minutes in competitive matchups as well as the slight blowouts where Phoenix has not played well enough. So there is the option that he may be able to be here in this game if it's close, or he may be on the court as well for more than 20 minutes because the game is getting a little out of hand. So I think he's someone you can definitely consider as well. At power forward, before we go to small forward, let's put Oubre in there. Oubre 6,500 on DK, so you need about 32 to me value there. Power forward at the top, you got Sabonis, definitely in play against New York. New York is vulnerable at the power forward spot. They're probably the worst over the last 6 games that I have calculated. So it should be a nice spot for Sabonis to do well, at least get 45, 50 or better. Kevin Love, got to watch the news there. If Love is out, obviously you're going to jump on to Larry Nance. That's what we always recommend here. And obviously that's the best choice. Other than that, I'm going to come down to Al Horford because, like I said, I do like 2 Philly guys, and my 2 favorite are Horford and Simmons. And those are guys that I'm going to definitely put in probably about 25% of my lineups. But out of the Philly guys, I'll be willing to take a stab at these 2. Al Horford coming here, 7,600. You need pretty much for him, you need about 36 to me value. He's on DK for 6,700. You need about 31, 32 to me value there. Now, granted, this is all about taking advantage of the fact is that his usage gets a slight bump, 2 or 3% more above his norm. His average is about 19% usage rate, and he gets a bump about 23 to 24% without no Embiid because now he gets moved to the 5 from the 4. So that's usually the case with him there. But I mean, he is playing 31 minutes a game, pretty much shooting 48% from the floor, 39% from 3. Like I said, his usage rate is 19% with Embiid on the floor. Without Embiid, 23 to 24%. So he is he is definitely firmly in play. He definitely brings a lot to the table. Can score a bit, can hit threes as well. He's a good free throw shooter. Then of course he does a little bit of everything else, gets you some rebounds, can get you some assists, and he definitely can defend and get you. At our last 3 games, he's had 3 steals and 4 blocks. So you can get some blocks and steals from Al Horford. And he has 45 point pretty much upside. He can get you 45, close to 50 on a good night, when everything is all panning out well. So I do like him here. He did play 1 game against Cleveland, shot 66% in that game, 33% from 3, put up 36 fantasy points. Cleveland is coming in here. There are 2nd and 20th, defending centers. We're basing this on centers, even though we're on Fanduel and he's a power forward eligible player here. They've been allowing 34.7, nearly 35 fantasy points per game. They did give up 64 to Drummond and 63 to Jared Allen over the course of the last 5 games. I don't expect Horford to go out there and put up a 60, but I think he should be able to at least be value here. And it's a safe cash play for you cash play players. If you play on a 4-game slate cash, like I advise, stay with the tournament play. Other options for you here at power forward, other than Horford, you got to consider his teammate coming off the bench may even start, and that's Mike Scott. So Mike Scott at a bare minimum, I think he's at 3,500, is an option. Then you come down here, you could consider Jaren Jackson, but I don't play a whole lot of Jackson just simply because he gets into foul trouble a lot, but he could be someone to consider here against Utah. Larry Nance obviously firmly in play if there is no Kevin Love. So you got him. Sabonis is definitely in play at 8,800 going up against the Knicks. Like I did say, the Knicks are giving up the 2nd most fantasy points over the last 5-6 games. Giving up power forwards 37.8, nearly 38 fantasy points per game. So him averaging 40 is in prime position to get 40 or better here today. Price tag is a little bit up, but also it's a 4-game slate and he is in a favorable matchup. Other than that, can't really rely too much on Julius Randle. He's like a little bit up and down. Dario Saric and Frank Kaminsky are definitely firmly in play. Phoenix need these guys to bury threes. Saric a better 3-point shooter than Kaminsky. Kaminsky has been playing better, so if you wanted to take a choice here, I'd rather pay $500 cheaper for Kaminsky and take a stab at him over Saric. He's been playing 30-plus minutes in 3. He's actually been playing more than 28 minutes a game over the last 3 games, and has put up 30 fantasy points or better in 3 straight games. So Kaminsky firmly in play at 5,400, needing about 26, 27 to me value. Let's go over the center. At center at the top, you got Clint Capella, Valanciunas, and Gobert. All 3 guys are in play. Capella obviously is in a great spot with Phoenix. No Aaron Baines. It's gonna be really, really tough. And then he's also playing at home. This is the scary part. This is where Phoenix is gonna have to spread the ball, spread the floor, definitely open up the threes, and they gotta bury the threes. And of course, obviously attack the boards by making sure that they drive to the basket. If they do that, they could possibly get some of these guys from Houston in foul trouble and get to the foul line, where Phoenix is not too bad of a free throw shooting team, but Clint Capella should definitely rake here, man. I mean, there's no doubt about it, 9,100. So he's firmly in play. I'm obviously want to try to keep a little bit of a balance and try to pay down a little bit here at center. But Valanciunas is another guy I'm considering. Has played well. Has been playing 28 plus minutes, so his minutes have finally, slowly but surely been getting up in the 30-minute mark. And he's been playing excellent basketball for Utah, and he's actually not a bad for Memphis, and he actually is not a bad defender as well. But he's going into Utah, man. Rudy Gobert, a whole $1,000 cheaper, got 50-point upside. That is definitely appealing to me, man. So Rudy Gobert, I will probably favor him a little bit more than Valanciunas today, just simply because he's at home. He plays fairly well at home, and not only that is that he's $1,000 cheaper and has the same upside as Valanciunas. So I do like Rudy Gobert, but I think all the two guys, Valanciunas and Capella, definitely in play. Tristan Thompson, obviously, no Kevin Love. Got to consider Thompson. He's 7,400. He seems like he's healthy. I'm going to be coming down. I know I don't like to choose a lot of Knick players, and even though I'm a Knick fan, but Mitchell Robinson has played well as of late, and I'm hoping that Mike Miller starts giving this kid a little bit, the freedom to play more at center. Now, I don't know what's going to be the starting lineup for New York today, but even if he comes off the bench, because I know they're trying to save him from foul trouble, so I think that's the reason why Fizdale was using him off the bench. But he has been playing 30-plus minutes as of late. I'm willing to take a stab at him on a 4-game slate like this today, considering that the Vegas believes this Indy game and New York game is going to be a fairly close game. But we know that New York has been terrible at home and have been getting blown out left and right. Obviously Fizdale is out as coach. I'm hoping Mike Miller, who's been the G League coach for a while, was successful for us as a G League coach for the Knickerbockers, could possibly get something out of these kids and get them to develop. So I think they definitely have to take advantage of what the potential that Mitchell Robinson has. So athletic, lean, good wingspan, good shot blocker, good defender. Get him out there, and let's hope that he just does not get into foul trouble early. But as you can see, 23 and 29, he's a great point per minute play. It's like easily 1.2, 1.3 or more any given night if he could stay away from foul trouble. So he is right now should be the future of the Knicks at center if they utilize him. So I'm thinking tonight may be a night where he's going to still get his 25 to 30, and if he plays well, doesn't get into foul trouble, may be there in crunch time if the game stays competitive. So I'm willing to take a stab at him, at least for the sake of the video. But again, I do think that you should have exposure to the other three top-tier centers, with, for me, Gobert being the top guy at that price tag of $7,700. So Mitchell Robinson in play, man, 23-plus minutes. He's 34-plus in 2 straight games. He's shooting 68% from the floor. His usage rate is at about 16.5, almost 17%. I think that will obviously increase if he's on the floor and stays away from foul trouble. Don't need him to put up a lot of scoring. As you can see, he's not a big scorer. He has those moments like the last game where he scored 17 from the floor. Simple putbacks, alley-oops, those easy baskets under the boards in the paint. But we want him to just get rebounds and blocks, and more blocks, Mitchell. Get as many blocks as you can, kid. So get the blocks, and of course he's capable of getting the steals. We want the peripherals. If he can do that, he can put up some big numbers really fast. So again, that's one of the reasons why I will like him to, I think he's someone that you can consider. He's going up against Indy. Indy is 24th in defending centers, allowing 37.3 over the last 6 games, which is the second highest to Chicago, at least on my list, and I'm really on top of the fantasy point totals. They have struggled. They're the second worst Indianapolis from the Chicago Bulls. So again, I didn't even pencil him in. So Mitchell Robinson in play, and of course he's in play as well over here. Al Horford, and for those guys that play DK, I think those 5 guys, I could have got, that's guys that you can go cheaper on, in every position. I did pinpoint some of the possible values. But at center, other than him, there ain't nobody down here that you should be even concentrating on. It's either you're going to play Robinson or you're going to come up. You could take a stab at Turner if you want. He's a little up and down with the minutes and with his scoring, but he can get you 35 to 40 any given night, as well. I would say if it's not Robinson, it's got to be either Capella or Gobert for me, but you could also take a stab at Valanciunas, who's been playing excellent ball for Memphis. I like Valanciunas. I always did, even when he was Toronto. If you guys been watching me since last year, I always praised on this guy. Just give him more minutes. Go give him more minutes, coach. Now he's finally getting minutes, and he is definitely, prospering and doing well for the Memphis Grizzlies. But I'm looking at price tag here. I'd rather pay $1,000 cheaper for Gobert at home and has the, upside of getting you 50 or more fantasy points in this matchup. And that's pretty much it. Again, man, if you want to follow along, man, check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/DFS Zone for the player pool quick search sheet, or if you want some cash lines or GPPs. They're not going to be a whole lot of cash lines there for you guys today. I'll throw you a couple that I believe you can use, but I think today is a tournament day. You will probably get a lot more than just top 5 there for today. So check that out. Again, if you want to be in the giveaway, make sure you like the video, comment down below, and of course be a subscriber. Don't forget to subscribe before you go. And again, I wish you guys a lot of luck. Enjoy your Saturday, and I'll see you guys on Monday. No video tomorrow.